From their introduction into Yu-Gi-Oh, UAs have been overshadowed by their more accomplished and popular, some quasi-big brother Burning Abyss. While Burning Abyss certainly deserves its praise, as it has delivered numerous tournament victory and top 8 since its inception as an archetype, one wonders if UAs had been released at a different time, if they would have been more popular and seen a breakthrough at a major event. While it does not appear that UAs will ever receive that incredibly useful second level 4 or lower monster that they should have gotten, that doesn't mean that they can't do some form of damage in the current and future meta. UA Playmaker is the biggest monster on the team, and unfortunately is the biggest disappointment on the team. This is the kind of the top flight guy coming out of college that completely tanks when he gets to the pros, because he has a lackluster attack for a level 8 and an incredibly lackluster effect in general, regardless of what his level is. For this card to have really lived up to its name, Playmaker, it needed a big, impressive, game-changing effect, typically something that involved drawing, but that is certainly not the case. Dreadnought Dunker. I've never really been a fan of monsters with the effect that do damage or destroy a monster, then do something else. However, Dunker's piercing effect makes the trigger a little more consistent, and in the Pendulum world, that extra destruction has much more merit than it did previously. Also, despite being a level 7, which makes its normal summons more difficult, Dunker also provides a secondary power option apart from Slugger. I run one copy of Dunker because it is easily searchable through either Signing Deal or Stadium, and multiple copies can be rather inefficient because of that level 7 attribute. UA Blockbacker is a fantastic card against most decks, as for the most part it's a single-sided, once per turn monster-based permanent lose a turn, because the monster doesn't get its effect back. You negate the monster's effect, it stays negated. The major drawback to Blockbacker is, again, similar to the fact that he's a level 7, thus he has the same problem as Dunker and the increased difficulty to put him on the field when special summoning him via his UA effect is not available. However, its effect is so useful that it almost has to be run at least 1, and that's how many copies I run, 1 copy. Rival Rebounder is one of those sneaky monsters that you don't really get an appreciation or realization of how good it is until after playing with it. A vast majority of the time, it is basically a free 2200 attack, 2300 defense monster that gives you nice graveyard versatility. The special summoning ability of UAs can also turn this card into a kind of a multiple use Call of the Haunted type card, where you normal summon Rebounder, you get your special summons from the graveyard, then you return Rebounder to your hand to special summon another UA monster, reloading Rebounder's effect in a sense. However, due to deck space issues, I only run 1 copy. UA Goalkeeper is one of the originals, and it's still quality. Unfortunately for Goalkeeper, the Pendulum meta has made it far too easy for opponents to just slap down a Castel or some other monster that can remove a card from the field without destroying, which hurts Goalkeeper's purpose. Despite this change, realistically, if I had the deck space, I would still probably run 1 copy, but unfortunately, I don't have that deck space, so no copies of Goalkeeper in my build. Mighty Slugger is another one of the originals that kind of shows Playmaker how to really get it done. Effect negation and null activation tied to battle is frequently useful. We all still know how Armades is pretty much a quasi-staple in Synchro decks, and makes Slugger that obvious primary target for Jersey, as well as the principal attacker, especially when it comes to OTKing the opponent, even more so than Dunker, because it's a little easier to get out onto the field, only being a level 5. Slugger also has a good 1-for-1 synergy with Ace or Blockbacker, as he can do the attacking, and then you can put him back into your hand and put either Ace or Blockbacker onto the field in defense mode to do the defending. While this card is strong at 2, due to deck-based concerns, I only run 1 copy. Perfect Ace is the best UA without question. Its ability to negate any card effect during the opponent's turn can completely derail the turn if used properly. With 2500 defense, it can shrug off a large number of monsters, forcing your opponent to expend multiple resources to remove it. Finally, as a 1500 attack Earth Warrior, it is searchable via multiple avenues if one elects to go that route. In the past, 3 copies were mandatory in my opinion in any UA build. However, now thanks to both Rebounder and Signing Deal, you can get away with running 2 copies, which is exactly what I do. If an OTK with Jersey is not immediately available, for UA players the principal course of action should be getting Ace onto the field as fast as possible. Midfielder demonstrates that once again the first generation shines through, largely because Midfielder does not have a next generation rival, for it is the only level 4 lower UA. 3 copies are pretty much mandatory. Realistically, Midfielder really does not do much offensively or even defensively. Its only major purpose is to be the normal summon to set up plays for your higher ups and get your searching on with Stadium. Finally, I think some people tend to forget that Midfielder does have its own quick play UA swap effect, because in the past it really wasn't relevant, but now that Rival Rebounder exists, it can be pretty relevant. You have that midfielder, you have your perfect ace. Your perfect ace, let's say, negates something, then you can push that perfect ace back in your hand, bring out your Rival Rebounder, activate Rebounder's effect, get your summons from the graveyard. UA Signing Deal. Wow. Of the next generation UA support cards, this one was the big one. Overall, while this card is not broken, it is really overpowered. In some respects, this card is just a better version of Feast of the Wild level 5 because it searches from the deck. The versatility that this card has in combination with the UA summoning mechanic makes 3 copies a must. The life point cost is basically irrelevant 99% of the time. Note that the obvious trick with this card is to summon what you want, then special summon a UA in your hand to return the Signing Deal summoned monster to your hand, and then resummon that Signing Deal UA'd from your hand back onto the field. UA turnover tactics. Before Rival Rebounder, this card was just bad. On its face, one could argue that this card is good because it has an effect similar to Signing Deal, but it's also quick play, allowing it to be played defensively to evade opponents' card effects. So what's the problem with this card? The fact that your opponent gets to summon any appropriate monster from his or her deck is playing with serious fire. Depending on the type of deck you're facing, turnover tactics may take you from victory to defeat. It's an incredibly high risk, high reward card, and the simple reality for me is it's just far too risky for my tastes. UA Powered Jersey. Some people think Sacrifice is the best equipped card spell in the game. Yeah, it's not. But neither is UA Powered Jersey. In my opinion, the best equipped spell card in the game is Moon Mirror Shield, but UA Powered Jersey is number 2. Jersey produces the OTK potential for this deck. You can drop an OTK on your opponent almost instantly if you've got Jersey and the right tool in your hand. However, while it is one of the best equipped spells in the game, it can get cloggy at 3, and with the searching capacity of Penalty Box, I only run 2 copies. UA Stadium is a good representation of the fact that in Yu-Gi-Oh! There really does not seem to be a middle ground when it comes to field spells. They are either musts in a deck, or you don't touch them with a 10-foot pole. Stadium is one of the best field spells in the game. Searching is always good, and attack increase in a UA deck is definitely important, for a number of UA monsters lack the attack power, making it difficult to transition from defense to offense. However, for all Stadium does, it is not deck critical. Basically, you don't have to have it on the field for a meaningful chance to win with UAs. While I run 3 copies, UA players I think need to maintain a positive mindset, for I've seen some players basically quit if they don't see Stadium in their first 7 or 8 cards, which makes no sense to me. Penalty Box is another one of those new support cards. It's just nasty for the opponent. The first effect helps manage one of the weak links of UAs by providing another tool to avoid destruction as a result of battle. The additional side benefit of removing opposing impediment before making an attack run is also appealing. The secondary effect is also useful, providing a free search for Stadium, Jersey, or Signing Deal after it's removed from the field. The second effect is also useful in the context that this card can simply be used as effective discard fodder for Ace's effect or another card that requires a discard, resulting in actual plus from the effect. 3 copies, in my opinion, is pretty much required because you can plus so effectively off of it. For the non-UA monsters, the principal goal is to maximize playmaking potential relative to the UA monsters, and therefore you have to get, in my opinion, you have to have searching and you have to have innate special summoning. Therefore, I like to run 3 copies of Heroic Champion Assault Halberd, which is a nice 1800 attack point level 4 monster that can be special summoned via its innate Cyber Dragon conditions to help UA normal summons, as well as increase the probability of rank 4 plays if necessary. It can also search for other Heroic Champion monsters, including another copy of itself after inflicting battle damage, to increase hand size to aid summoning consistency and provide ace fuel. Also, I like running 1 copy of Heroic Champion Thousand Blade, which is especially useful in this deck. Setting up tribute fodder for the next turn is a great discard target for ace, or another discard requiring card, and reduces the probability of getting OTK'd. Finally, closing out the monsters, I run 2 copies of Spell Striker due to its innate special summoning ability and its direct attacking without battle damage retaliation consequence. Moving on to the non-direct UA spells, I run 1 Raigeki, 1 Soul Charge. Obviously, the reduction of reinforcement of the army from 3 to 1 hurt this deck, but certainly did not kill it. I run the 1 copy. With monsters ranging from 3 to 7, I like running 3 copies of Reasoning because it works nicely to get a free monster onto the field. Reasoning is also very helpful in the first game of a match because almost everyone will either call 1 or 8, thinking the deck is either Infernoids or Cosmos. Reasoning also has the potential side benefit of dumping a penalty box as well, getting you that free search. While Breaker of Shadows is not out right now, it's a little over a week, I would run 3 copies of Twin Twister for getting rid of those trap cards that can be activated during your turn to get around Ace's negation effect, as well as neutralizing the mass setting of Solemn Notices that will be plaguing the game until the ban list rectifies the situation. While this deck is designed to increase efficiency with 6 tribute monsters, there is a possibility to brick, therefore I like running the 1 allowable copy of 1 Day of Peace to get to the extra draws before losing. Finally, there is some possibilities for the remaining spell cards. I prefer trying to get Ace on the field as fast as possible, so I like running 2 copies of Transmodify, as all of the monsters in this deck are Earth Warriors. Let some combination of Forbidden Lance, Monarch Stormforth, or Feast of the Wild level 5 can also work nicely if you prefer to go that direction. Finally, for the final 2 cards, I run 1 Bottomless Trap Hole and 1 Vanity's Emptiness. I don't like running any Solemn cards in this deck because there's already enough life point demands from Signing Deal. Some may look at the monster lineup of this deck and worry that it's a little too light, especially on the UAs. In my opinion, one of the problems facing UA deck designs has been too much focus on larger than necessary monster count and on Monarch Stormforth to supplement those additional monsters. Unfortunately, that strategy seems to heavily reduce the consistency of the deck, reducing winning probability. Overall, when I've played this deck, I've had a good amount of success, and I almost never run into the problem of saying, dang it, I wish I had a second Slugger or a second Dreadnought, but it's never seemed to really come up to be an issue for me. An extra deck for UAs is something of an afterthought as long as the general rank 4 base and some of the rank 4 warriors are covered. In my extra deck, I run 2 Castel, the Skyblaster Musketeer, 1 number 101 Silent Monarch, 1 Dark Rebellion Dragon, 1 Blade Armor Ninja, 1 Heroic Champion Excalibur, 1 number 86 Heroic Champion, 1 Abyss Dweller, 1 Luminescent Knight, 1 Daigusto Emerald, 1 Gaga Cowboy, 1 Gaga Samurai, 1 Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon for my 2 level 7s in those situations where Dunker does 7,400 damage instead of the 8,000 for the OTK. 1 number 61 Volcasaurous for the same situation. My opponent's really low on life points. I put either an Ace and a Slugger, make Volcasaurous, end it. And 1 MX Saber Invoker can be summoned using the 2 Spell Strikers and can be used to get any of the level 4 monsters in the deck. Principally, it's going to get Midfielder. UAs are one of the few decks that is high quality but has been overshadowed by a general feeling in the play environment. UAs don't produce multiple pluses every turn like a number of the more popular Tier 1 decks. Instead, it excels in trying, and usually successfully, to force the opponent into kind of a grinding strategy if it can't OTK you quickly with Jersey. I think bad deck design of some UA decks in combination with the more grind-heavy strategy has turned people off of UA, leading them to unjustifiably question the quality. For I've seen a number of people who think UAs aren't even Tier 3, which I think is incredibly inaccurate, because they certainly can be effectively competitive in the right build. Well, that's my deck. Thank you for your attention and your time. I'm out.